Mr. Burns said that I was reprimanded, these are his words, by Donald Trump himself because I was too gentle and too nice with the individual. That I was ordered by security of removing from the building. And I asked Mr. Burns, I said, well, why didn't you get frisky with him? He said, simply because I've got more respect for people pertaining to their First Amendment rights. And even though what he said, and in the way that he said it, may have been inappropriate, it was still his right of him feeling the way that he felt about Mr. Trump. But he said, I almost got into a major calamity with law enforcement out there. And he said, since then, there's been another person that's been in charge of the U.S. Marshals Services. And he said that me and him don't get along at all. He said, Dennis, if I was to go with you back onto that park and help to escort you back over there to the Memorial Building whenever they was having their memorial service, their 25-year memorial service. He said, not only would they arrest you, but they would also arrest me. I said, why would they arrest you? He said, they'll arrest me because, first of all, I'm going to be guilty by association towards me being with you, going back over there to that park that you've already been ordered to stay away from, being banned from. He said, and secondly, they don't like you because you have opened up a can of worms pertaining to transparency that obviously they didn't want to begin with, because if they did, they would have brought that type of transparency to the American people, especially to the people in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, when the event actually occurred. He said, I had children that was in the daycare center that I used to play with. He said, every time that I go down there, I get negative energy, negative feelings about that event towards what has occurred. And I'm like, well, maybe, just maybe, sorry for the camera moving around. I go, maybe, just maybe, the reason why is because there's never been what you would consider full closure on the Oklahoma incident. I go, Mr. Burns, that was the whole primary purpose for me going out there and me discovering the truth of not only what went on in Waco, Markhama, pertaining to the Davidians, but towards me discovering the truth towards what went on in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I go, and until the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth comes out to the American people, there's always going to be people in doubt, and there's always going to be people that's going to have bad feelings every time they get around the memorial building site. That was one of the worst catastrophes that has ever hit the American land since America has become America. This is about all that I need to say pertaining to part 2 here of the Donald Trump glorious moment and them glorying in their own atmosphere today. Once more, I'm not God. I can't go into Donald Trump's mind and tell people what he really thinks or what's in his mind. I know this, that he's going to have to answer for everything that he does or don't do, just like everybody else is going to have to give an account and give an answer for everything that they have done. And there's lots of bogus people out there, regardless whether they be on one level or another, or the highest of the highest level or the lowest of the lowest level, that has bad motives in doing what they have done. Just like you're going to have people that's going to bust hell straight open even though they have been to church services every time the door was open, because they went for the wrong purpose. They was going not for the right purposes. And I hope that not be the case pertaining to Donald J. Trump, but I'm pretty sure that the truth will, in fact, the truth will set you free, and your sins will find you out. Just like my sins will find me out. Just like the sins of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma will find them out. And just like other hidden conspiracies that has happened throughout this great nation, regardless whether it was the atmosphere that got brought on of the desecration of the Native American Indians, or the bombing that was one of the worst homegrown terrorist attacks that's ever hit America, or the incident that happened during 9/11. I'm sure eventually we will get to the bottom of all of this. It may not be in this lifetime. It may be very well in the lifetime to come. But eventually, the truth is going to come out towards the who, the what, the when, and the why. Because one entity of the whole testimony is just as crucial and as imperative as one is versus the other. And we realize that a lot of them that go to work up there that says, oh, we have concern for the American people. We care about the American people. Yeah, we see how much you care. Once you get into office, we see where you care, where your cares are. Your cares is going into your bank account. Your cares is filling your pockets up. Why everybody else is dwindling. Why everybody else is suffering. Why everybody else is being humiliated towards trying to do the right thing and being punished like they have done the wrong thing. I still wonder about the whistleblower that blowed the whistle in this situation pertaining to Donald J. Trump. Rather not it be he or she, if that individual is suffering to this day, because I'm sure there are certain people that know just exactly who that whistleblower was. And eventually we may find out who that whistleblower was. But I'm just wondering if that person has suffered immensely the way that other people have suffered towards trying to stand up and do the right, correct thing. Once more, whenever you live in a society that can't discern the difference between right and wrong, and they punish the people that's doing right as if they have done wrong, and reward the people for doing wrong as if they have done right, you're living in a very, very toxic environment, just as the Bible talks about that in the last days we will be living in perilous times. And that's the times that we're in. Now they can get up there and they can beat one another's drum, and they can beat each other on the chest like a bunch of apes, and brag about this and brag about that. But the truth of the matter is there was some sort of a hiccup that happened in Donald Trump's life pertaining to a telephone call with the Ukrainian people, which was considered to be our allies, that has brought all this into this limelight that we're now looking at and scratching our heads about, saying, what the hell was all this about after $40 million later in regards to this telephone call? All the other stuff pertaining to the Russian hoax, all the other stuff pertaining to the corruption within the FBI, I don't even want to get involved in all that. That's on different levels, and those are completely different subjects right now. Right now, this is just a subject trying to put a closure in regard to this impeachment trial. God showed me that he was going to be impeached. Though, according to man, he has been acquitted. But how can you positively, without a shadow of a doubt, say that this man has been acquitted whenever there never was an actual trial. Because an actual trial has witnesses and it has documents, and it gets brought out to the American people in a completely different format according to the standards that we're adapted to, regardless whether it be criminal court or civil court or court in our local courtrooms pertaining to our county courtrooms or our state courtrooms or our federal courtrooms. How can you validate that what has occurred here towards this trial of it being genuinely authentic if you don't have the proper entities that's supposed to be there? That's the reason why I've got doubt. That's the reason why I'm skeptical of what has happened here. And anybody else in their right mind is going to see it the same way, I believe. If they're truly seeking fairness, and if they're truly seeking justice for all. Not just for one side or the other, but for all. Good luck to all of us. This will end this impeachment inquiry, this impeachment hearing, this impeachment trial. This will end anything else that we here at 291 Thompson Road, Sharon, Tennessee, zip code 38255, at the Windmill Ministries services. This will end our final comments pertaining to these events that has now toppled common sense in areas that we could have never, ever imagined that was going to occur right here in the good old USA. Thank you, and good luck to all of us. And I'm going to go ahead and let this play out until my battery runs out to hear what else is being said. Thanks again, and shalom.
I always beat him, and I had to beat him another time, and I'll probably have to beat him again, because if they find that I happen to walk across the street and maybe go against the light or something, let's impeach him. So I'll probably have to do it again, because these people have gone stone cold crazy. But I've beaten them all my life, and I'll beat them again if I have to. But what they're doing is very unfair. Very unfair. So Kevin McCarthy has been great. So, a few names, right? And there'll be a few you forget. If you want, you can raise, and I'll say, great, love to have you, wonderful. But